the role of neighbors in ensuring your security as a community, but also as a person. Now, remember that there are some people who, have neighbors that are rigid or weird. How do you handle those neighbors in case you have those kinds of neighbors? It's interesting that we stay in a community where we live in a community where we have all kinds of behavior, because we were not raised the same. So you might find that your neighbor does something that is not that does not sit comfortably with you. How do you go about that? Because at the end of the day, you need this neighbor. You need them, especially security-wise. If somebody was attacking your place and you're not there, it is your neighbor that will give you a phone call and say, Mnang, when you left, somebody tried to break in, or somebody is actually trying to break in as we speak. So how exactly do you handle these issues? And with me is, of course, the usual, our friend who has also become family now, and his name is Afande Muteera Asiimwe. After he says hi to you, we get into the discussion. Hello, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Madam Caro. Good morning, our viewers. As she has introduced me, I am Assistant Superintendent of Police Muteera, the Divisional Community Liaison Officer Kawempe. I am glad to be here once again to sensitize our dear viewers, especially in the aspect of security, with the aim of preventing and reducing crime in our society, because that is our core goal, our core target, to ensure that we have a safe community free of crimes. So that's why I always labor to come here to extend a voice to those that may have forgotten, and those who don't know. Some know but they forget. So I am here to remind those who have forgotten, but as well as enlighten those who didn't know.
Okay. Thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. Okay. Now, of course, let's start with the neighbor. Yeah? Before we get to the neighborhood watch.
Yes.
Who is a neighbor?
A neighbor is the immediate person, your next immediate person. So right now, I am your neighbor.
Yeah.
Not the person who is at the reception, not the person who is in the strong room or any other, but now, I am your neighbor. And I carry the biggest value to people who are out, because in any case now, my life and your life, we are in each other's hands. So that means a neighbor is that person who is next to you. That is a neighbor.
Okay.
As the wide keeps on widening, there is an immediate neighbor, long-term neighbor. So the scope keeps on widening. But now the neighbor is that one who is next to you. That is your neighbor.
All right. Now, when we get to the neighborhood watch itself,
yes,
how would you describe neighborhood watch to somebody out there that is seated in their living room watching us, or at work, and wants to understand what a neighborhood watch is? How would you, in simple terms, relate to them?
Neighborhood watch is a strategy or a campaign aimed at reducing crime, but as well as preventing crime. It works in a way that the first person who is your neighbor can either prevent a crime, but also reduce the risk of the crime. For example, if we are attacked here in the studio, who helps you? The people outside, or me who is inside?
I think you who is inside.
Me who is inside. That means that neighborhood watch is aimed at that this person who is next to you, maybe you are staying together in the same locality, maybe you work together at your place of work, maybe you are moving together, is that first person who can prevent you from committing or maybe a crime be committed against you, but also in case the crime has taken place, how do you mitigate the effects of that crime?
Okay.
So that is the strategy. It is not your mother at home or your father. I don't know whether you have parents, but okay, not the person who maybe whom you work together. Me now who is here, I am your saver. Similarly, not my colleagues, even in the armed forces. They can't save me now if I get a problem. Carol, who is a journalist, is my first savior. So we are promoting this strategy of neighborhood watch to know that the person who is next to you is very, very, very much important than the person who is far away from you. We could not be related. We could not be sharing anything in common, but by virtue that as of now is your neighbor, carries the most importance in your life.
Okay.
Yes.
Very, very insightful. Now, what are some of the traits we need to look out for if we were to identify a good neighbor? We have bad neighbors, and we shall get to that on how to handle them. But what are the traits we shall look out for in case we are to identify a good neighbor and say this one can be there for me?
To a smaller extent, we can choose who our neighbor is.
Okay.
I don't think you made a choice that I should be the person to come.
No.
But by the virtue that I have come, I am now your neighbor. What does that one mean? It could be at the place where you reside. You may not choose who should be your neighbor, because everyone comes on their way. Maybe if you are tenants, everyone you don't know, people come from different aspects of life to look for places of accommodation. But also residents. People sell, others buy. Neighborhood keeps on changing from time to time. However, what is most important is what unites us. You know, people always look for what separates them. But in our security aspect, we look for what unites us. If if there is an accident, does accident say that now this one is the one who should be affected or should be the victim, this one should be saved? It is not selective. So for us in crime management, we don't care whether we do the same work, we don't care whether we speak the same language, but now if there has been a problem, how are you supposed to respond? However, a bad neighbor can also cost you if you are not at good terms. As we go on, we shall also see that even your neighbor can be your first enemy. We have had neighbors, you are in an area, but the criminals are your neighbors. If it is stealing, the neighbors are the ones stealing. If it is be any form of crime, your neighbor, the first suspect is your neighbor, which is very, very dangerous. There, you have a choice to say that, no, I can't manage this environment, let me change.
Okay.
But that one applies mostly to tenants. For landlords, you will not be on keeping on selling and buying because you want to buy where they are good neighbors. But also, we shall look on, as we go on, how do we stay with the bad neighbors? You know, if somebody can be bad, but you transform them to be good on common values. It is not important that we can all be at the same page, but there is what we call the common goal, so that irrespective of the disparities, irrespective of the differences, we can have those uniting factors. If there is a fire outbreak, does it spare a good or bad neighbor, or it affects all of us? If it is hailstorm, it has come, maybe it is taking away the roofs, does it spare? If it is an outbreak, a disease outbreak, does it spare? It doesn't. If thugs attack, do they spare? They don't spare. So that's why I say that we can look on uniting factors, irrespective or despite of the many differences that can exist between you and your neighbor.
Okay, thank you. Now let's look at some aspects that I must have in order for me to be a good neighbor. What I'm trying to ask is, as you have said, there are very many people who come from different aspects of life, but there must be those things I must do to show that I am also a cooperative neighbor or a good neighbor, so that people can start to trust me. People wouldn't want to associate themselves with a person of certain characters. You have mood swings maybe, and bad characters, or you are a liar. What are some of those traits I must have in order to be a good neighbor?
Well, a neighbor, as we have heard, neighborhood keeps on changing. Today I'm your neighbor, but the following program I'm not going to be your neighbor. However, while I'm here, or also while I am with you, I need you as of now.
Okay.
The most underlying in this aspect is on crime watch. It is very important to know. You may not come and ask that, how are your behaviors? But through constant association, through constant inquiries, you keep on knowing the characters of your neighbor. That's how you will be able to establish that all along, the person who has been stealing your properties has been your neighbor. You have you have options. You can either tell them there and then that, now, my friend, we have been together, but this behavior, for long, I have been following you, I have been observing you, you are behind A, B, C, D. Of course, they won't admit, but they can transform. They can say that, now, since my neighbor has known me, I may not again steal from him or her. So they can advance to other distant areas. But also, you can also say, if the person fails to change, you can shift or find a mechanism of staying with that person. We have internal neighbors. All your family members are your neighbors. Though you are related, but they are family members. And they are your neighbors.
Okay.
2, we have neighbors in the neighborhood, in the community. So, there are those which you must tolerate because you have no alternative.
Okay.
If you had a bad neighbor at work, what do? Do you quit the job?
No, absolutely.
So you must have the traits on how to coexist with that bad neighbor. Okay, if your family member has bad traits, what do? Do you change family? You must tolerate. So, but if you have a bad neighbor, in our crime aspect, maybe you cannot tolerate, either he's an abuser, every time he's violating your rights. that one, we have mechanisms how to deal with them.
Okay.
We have reporting systems, how matters can be handled right from within your community. You have local leaders. It can keep on advancing. You can reach at the level of the police. You can reach at the level of courts to make sure that this neighbor can be put to order. But in our crime aspect, what we always do, whether good or bad neighbor, I said you must look for those uniting factors. If you forgot to close your house as you were coming at your workplace, maybe because you had very many thoughts, naturally you can forget. Who is supposed to notify you? It is your neighbor. Hello, Madam Carol. I see the door is open, but I'm not hearing. Are you around? Oh, I forgot. So, you can put for me your padro. So, he has watched where you cannot watch. Because you have already left workplace, you didn't know. But also that one works. Wherefore you are also a good person. You see, the most important aspect people always forget. We expect others to be good when we are also bad people. You don't greet people. You think you know it all or you have it all. So for you expect others to be good when you're also worst. So, this person you don't greet in the morning and is your neighbor, will they inform you how you have forgotten to lock your door? You are a parent. People who are disturbing your children at home, maybe especially the girl child, when you leave for work, somebody sneaks in your house and is having a bad relationship with your children. A neighbor whom you don't greet, even your children don't greet the neighbor, will that neighbor inform you?
No.
So, we must be good so that the bad neighbors can have something to learn from us. For you, if it were you, have you ever helped that neighbor of yours whom you expect to be good? You have never. You may find you have a vehicle, almost you work in the same area, but you always move alone. This neighbor, whether it is raining, they have to endure the rain to come to places of work. Will they tell you when he or she sees thieves at night, maybe trying to vandalize your vehicle? Because that vehicle is not important to them. So I don't care. So most of us have a don't care attitude to our neighbors, which is very, very bad. So for me, as a security personnel, I always see it is important to portray that positive or good morals of a good neighbor. What I want to see in others, it should also be seen in me. If you don't come here to work and you have not communicated reasons as why you have not come to work, which message do you send to maybe to your employer? So we must portray, we must act that what we want to see in others. So you must be a role model to others. You know, at a certain point, you can really say, but now this person, every time they are greeting me, but I have never greeted them. I think I am a bad person. This person is always caring. Maybe when I have a problem, he always reaches out a hand of helping. Maybe also I need to do what? So slowly, this person keeps on getting closer to you.
Okay.
A good neighbor is like a relationship. Now, I know you are an adult person. The more you keep on associating with that person, the more you get bonded to each other. So that's what good neighborhood is all about. You keep on being positive to this person, being positive. Even when the neighbor makes some mistakes, you can ignore. You don't explode them. So that you create a room for this person to improve. So, there is no... Are you aware that even a mad person can save you?
Yeah.
And they have helped us. In fact, for us, we say that people are not... We are all mad, only the degree of madness. Although me, I'm not mad. Neither are you.
No, the degree of madness is low.
So, even this person whom you see they have a certain point where they can be very useful to you. Somebody can only say, madam, don't pass that side. It is not. They may not tell you the whole circumstances, but just that warning. It is like you have you ever had you want to do something, but you feel you have something internally inside you which says that don't do it.
Yeah.
So that person is that can save you.
Yeah.
Madam, when you are not here, there is some people who came. I didn't know. So in you now, you must figure out which people are these. Why did they come? You also now keep on what? To give them later. If you get closer to them, and because you have been friendly to them, then now they tell you, who could have been these people? Can you describe them? Can you describe? Say, now, madam, these people were like this and this. But the way I saw them, they had this and this intention. But for you, because if you are not serious and you don't think, you take things for granted, somebody can say, I saw people, I said, no, I think these are people. You just rubbish it. You have not given them what? So they would have given you more details. That's why when crime happens in our course of investigation, people always say, the other day we saw this and this. The other day we heard about this and this. They are talking, but already crime has already been what? But also that information is important because it becomes a basis, it widens our investigation. We know what to look out for because at least we have where to begin from. In our investigation, we do finding the value of X. We begin from the known to the unknown.
Okay.
That one, the other day we had some people who were here like this and this and this. That is where we begin from. We keep on widening to know what could have been these people. Were they seen only here? So we keep on expanding so that it broadens our understanding. But what is important is to have a good relationship with your neighbor.
Okay.
So for you, which interest do you have in your neighbor? Others, they want the neighbors because of social life. Others want the neighbor because maybe they are, if you are not around, maybe you are at work, they are the ones who watch over your premises. Others want the neighbors maybe because they want those connections, maybe work and what.
Okay.
So you must have something you are looking at
Okay.
in your neighbor. So you always have to build that bond. I said we must look out for those uniting factors, even if it is one, but it unites you by the fact that you are in the same residence with this person. It is very important. You can't change that. Anything which hits you automatically hits this other person. We have had instances when crimes are committed, the first suspects are neighbors.
Yeah.
It is very bad. Why? Because the neighbors are not in good terms with maybe the victim. That whom do you suspect? It can be my neighbor. Do you know what that word means? The first suspect to be your neighbor. The person whom maybe you could say that that one cannot do it. But it's the first person you are pinning. It is very, very bad. And even these days, it has even penetrated in families. Somebody, a member of the family dies, the first suspects are members of the family. What does that one imply? We give room for criminals to infiltrate us.
Okay.
So it means that once you are not in good terms with your neighbors, even your other enemies, distant enemies, can have a gap to penetrate, commit a crime, and they go free. Because for you, your thoughts and minds are on my neighbor. And because everyone in the society knows that Karo and Muteera they have not been looking at each other. They have spoken very threatening words. Even the other day we were here, I said that you will see me. You know, we always speak some words. You will see me. Do you know me? Do you know what I can do? You ask so and so. Even when things they have never done. So, let's not give room for criminals because we have a negative relationship amongst our neighbors.
Okay. Okay, so do you feel we have exhausted the importance of the neighbor as per our security or crime prevention, or do you want to add something before?
What is the role of a neighbor?
Okay.
A neighbor is a first responder. If I collapse now, maybe I have some illnesses, or I have been attacked maybe by an illness. If I collapse now, you are the first person to either carry me or to rush out and call for my help, or even to pick my phone and make some calls, or to send out a signal that I have a problem. So a neighbor is a first responder. If you make an alarm at night, the first people to come to respond to you are the people whom you are staying with. If you make an alarm and people are still in their beds, and neighbors from outside are the ones who are responding, when the people within your household are sleeping, you know there is a problem. So a neighbor is a first responder. That is, we are talking about an aspect of crime. Maybe people are trying to vandalize. They send a signal, they make an alarm, they notify you. First responder. But also, this neighbor knows you better. Right now, I don't know which office is which, other than maybe the reception and the studio.
Okay.
But for you who is a member here, who is a staff here, you know who sits where. Have you ever had, but these days it is common. somebody, these single persons, people who stay alone, somebody dies in the house, it takes 3 days to know that this person died. It is the bad smell from the neighbors to know that we are sensing some bad smell. By the time police comes to break the door, somebody died. They have reached an extent of the body decomposing. Do you know what that means? It means that there is bad neighborhood. How can somebody die in a house? It takes 3 days. The body is decomposing for neighbors to know that this person is dead. Oh, yeah, this person has not been there. So those are the neighbors. People are minding about their businesses. I always tell my neighbors that if I get a problem, you will be the first people to answer, because you are the ones who see me every day. So if you see that somebody has been waking up maybe at 7, this day you don't see them, but you see the door closed, you must be even observant. When this person is in the house, how do they close the door? Does the padlock remain outside or it remains inside? 2, maybe when he's in the house, the radio is always off. So if you spend a day, you said, this person, whenever this person is coming from work, they always greet us. But you are a neighbor. When you are going at work, you don't greet. When you come from work, you don't greet. For you think the people who are important are your workmates. You leave, close the door, move out, come back, close yourself inside. You don't greet. You know, now these days, everything is self-contained. You have the bathroom inside, you have the water inside, you cook from inside, even if people come from work with the food. So you don't think a neighbor can be any important. You know, we grew up in a system in our rural setting. When you don't have water, you go to a neighbor. When you don't have maybe soap or salt, you go to a neighbor. Yeah. But these days everyone is self-dependent. Even when you don't have, you fear. You think it is a sign of maybe being underestimated, that you can't afford maybe the basics of life. So even you can sleep hungry when a neighbor is even powering food.
Yeah, that's the society today.
And who has built that society? We ourselves. We have built that society. So it portrays a very bad image for somebody to die in the house. It takes 3 days for the body to decompose, and the flies are all over, and that bad scent for the immediate neighbor to know that this person died. So you as a neighbor, what are you supposed to do? Keep on checking on your neighbors. I always tell my neighbors that for me, you will bear with me. I have even to knock to know, are you inside? I can even call, but this time you have come, you are not there. What has happened? Are you okay? Yeah, I've been caught up somewhere, but I'm coming. That is a sign of good neighborhood. But also a neighbor is important in our crime aspect, as we have been talking about, is the best timekeeper. Do you know that we lose lives because responders take long to assist victims? Let me put in an aspect of an accident.
Okay. Maybe there is a motor vehicle or motorcycle accident or pedestrian accident. You are being hit by a moving vehicle or motorcycle. You are on the road. You are losing blood. No one is helping you. You can die, or a person can die, not because they were supposed to die, but because they have not had somebody to reach out to them and rush them to the nearest health unit
to get medical treatment. So when you make an alarm now, we are here in studio, when you make an alarm now, the first people to come inside to our rescue are the people we have left outside. They can even break the doors to see that we are safe and secure, to rescue us. So it's the best timekeeper. But you know what most of us do? You get a problem here, maybe you are screaming. Instead of your neighbors to break the door, these ones whom we work with, to break the door and see what is happening here, they will first call police. Maybe from CPS or from Naguru. Now I know for you media people, you have connection with our PRO. And most of the time they sit at Naguru. Maybe those ones for Kawempe who sit here. So you have to first call Naguru. Then Naguru calls CPS. There is a problem at Church House. Then you reach Church House. Which problem? By the time you reach here, the effects are enormous. They are big. It could have been smaller, even a smaller thing. This neighbor of yours breaks the door, rescues you, maybe they rush you to hospital. By the time police comes, by the time people at the basement come, the effects are already what? They are already wide.
Okay.
So, a neighbor, your immediate neighbor, is the best timekeeper to save you. Four, your neighbor helps you to spread the message. Maybe you need more attention. Maybe the problem is bigger than they can manage. We always see when we come instances of fire outbreaks. By the time our fire fighting trucks come, people are already out there with buckets and basins trying to mitigate the damages. They are trying to pull out some properties so that the damage of the fire is mitigated. But put in an instance where there is a fire outbreak, you have all folded your hands, and you are waiting for the fire fighting trucks from police to come to your rescue. By the time we come, we'll find when almost the whole building, all the assets have already been what?
Destroyed.
Have already been destroyed. So, a neighbor enables you or helps you to call for a bigger and better response. Maybe these ones have broken the door, but they want to rush you to the nearest hospital. They will call, because for you are helpless. So it is your neighbor who will call. Maybe the ambulance, or maybe your relatives, or maybe the nearest what, so that you can easily be managed too.
Okay.
Now we have been looking at good neighbors, but there is also bad neighbors, like we had earlier stated.
Can we talk about the bad neighbors in our next segment?
Okay.
Because of the time.
Okay.
Thank you so much for still being a part of Issues at Hand. Let's take a very, very short break, and we are returning with our second segment of the effectiveness of Neighborhood Watch in crime prevention and reduction.
Issues at Hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.
Family Hour, empowering families one episode at a time. Together, we build strong, healthy, and thriving families with our daily dose of inspiration and expert insights on topics that matter, like education and career growth.
A child may be a good entrepreneur, but you're forcing the child to make sure that she passes sciences in order for her to be a what? A nurse.
Family health.
No one should one day tell you that, hey, since you have diabetes, you should not take Caro. That's a lie. There's what you call portion control.
Finance and wealth.
Keep track of your spending. And part of the spending, of course, as we said, be able to separate wants from needs. That's secondary.
Leadership and governance.
There are people who take on the political aspect and try to water down important, significant decisions we leaders take for the good of this country.
Not forgetting parenting.
Now you're raising kids or children who are in a totally different time. You get it. Those days your mother would just give you an eye and you know this is a problem.
Hey, there are visitors.
And there are visitors
and
around.
Mom gives you this eye, you know?
Yes.
Catch more of this every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m.
Do you know that you can now enjoy great enriching shows anywhere through the Family TV app? Here is how to download it. Open Play Store on your phone. Search for the Family TV app. Click Install. After installing it, open it and enjoy enriching content anywhere, everywhere, anytime. Family TV, enriching lives.
Family TV, enriching lives. This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives. Issues at hand, powered by
Muteera Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Warm welcome back to Issues at Hand. My name is Caro and we are still here with Afande Muteera Asiimwe, and we are still going over the conversation of exploring the role of neighborhood watch in crime prevention, but also in your security as a person. We're powered by Muteera Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Now we have a very few minutes to go, and I would like us to focus on the dangers of neighbors. Not everybody is a good person, really. At least there must be some of those who are not good. That is one. Two, what are the dangers of neighbors in general?
Thank you. As we have learned, you may not choose whether to have a good or bad neighbor. But should choice find you a bad neighbor, what are you supposed to do, or are you supposed to relate with them? A bad neighbor can be your first enemy.
Okay.
As we have learned, this person at all times you are losing your household properties, but you have that suspicion that this is, it could be a neighbor. We used to, when I was at university, we had a bad neighbor. This is the guy who was fond of stealing. You leave the house, maybe you don't expect even trespassers or foreign people to come inside. He would sneak from his room to the neighbor's room, steals, goes back to the room. It took us a full year to know that the person who was stealing from us was our neighbor. But once you realize that you have a bad neighbor, you can use authorities. You can report this person so that the law takes its course on this person. But you can also confront them. Once you are really have reasonable, you are convinced and you have facts that this is the person who has been terrorizing you. You speak to them for purposes of reformation. Like I have said, when I'm saying a neighbor, I'm not meaning these ones who residential neighbors, even the person within your room. Maybe like university students, like workmates who share places of accommodation. But you have this guy who is, this lady who is every time they're the one who are stealing. How do you do with them? You have to tighten your belts. You find means, but this person is rules on money. The moment they see money, they will carry away with it. So what do? At all times, you must keep your wallet closed. So, but also when you have an alternative, you can relocate. You can shift. Okay. You can, if you are tenants, you can speak to your landlord, but landlord, this neighbor, he has terrorized because he has stolen from everybody. So you can speak to the landlord. Maybe this person can be chased from that residence, so that maybe they go and find an alternative place. So, but on a large aspect, every neighbor is important. So we have to find means of turning the would-be bad neighbors to good neighbors. Okay. How do we do that? By portraying those values that we want this neighbor to. This person copies. As you said, I admire some so and so because of maybe the way they behave, maybe because of the way they relate with others. So if you are not admirable by your bad neighbor, don't blame the neighbor, blame yourself. Don't expect others to be good when you are bad. So, make sure you have contacts of your neighbors. Under the strategy of neighborhood watch, have contacts of your neighbors. Residential neighbors, work neighbors, but also in our policing aspect. We expect you, the resident, to have the contacts of the police unit in your locality. Somebody is here now at Church House. You want help, but you are calling police headquarters in Naguru. When you have police here at CPS, you have police here at Nkuruma, you have police here at Kampala Road. So, somebody who is coming to respond from Naguru cannot take the same time like a person who is responding from CPS Kampala, from Kampala Road, from Nkuruma, maybe from Nakasero. This one will take the shortest time. Even when they are on either a motorcycle or a vehicle and maybe they are caught up by jam, they can decide to abandon the vehicle and run here on foot. We have a tendency, people have, when we say, do you have contacts of your, that car police is very small. They look at the structures. This police officer, this police post, this police station, which you undermine that they are small, for them they know, once they respond, they know whom to contact for reinforcement. But for you don't know. Because for them they will call depending on the situation at hand. But now we say that those lower police officers, they cannot help me. Me, I'm talking with big people. People want to associate with big people. Big people can't save you now.
No, they can't.
So reach out to that nearest police unit of yours, have their contacts. Once they have a problem, once there is a problem, they are the first people to help you. Have contacts of your chairman, LC1. Have contacts of your local defense unit. Have contacts of your local council unit. Have contacts of your landlord. You have priority. So that this one, you keep on, you call this next neighbor, they are not picking, call the next what, depending on the distance.
Okay.
If you direct me, could be having my contacts. If you have a problem and you call me, it is not me who's going to respond. Now I will first ask you, where do you stay? Which is your nearest police? I have to look for contacts of the nearest police to call you. But the people I'm calling, they also don't know where you stay.
Yeah.
Our setup, we don't have clear address. You can't direct somebody and they come straight to what? You have to look for maybe the jackfruit tree. From there you will find a border stage, turn on your left. When you reach there, you are going to find a very big poster. Now are you seeing the gate, the bigger gate? Now turn opposite. But remember, you are directing somebody who has to give an immediate response. But your neighbors know you. That is if you are what? They know where you stay. They know even your room. They don't even have to disturb neighbors. It is a very, let me call it, it is weird for people to come. Maybe somebody comes from the next buildings to come and respond to your emergency call. When even people here outside, they don't know that you have a problem. So it is always bad for police to come to help you in case of any situation in terms of criminal activities when your neighbors don't know. People see people are moving up and down, they are seeing the police, they are, and people are peeping in their windows. They open the door still to check what is happening. We are seeing people are moving up and down, only to realize the neighbor has a problem. But the neighbors are not informed. So we don't even know whom to ask, who could have seen or who could have heard. So I want to urge you, our dear viewers, never underestimate anybody. Anyone can save you. Even a younger child can save you. Even a mad person can save you. So for us in our security aspect, we treat every person as important. They have a role to play in the control, in the prevention and reduction of crime.
Okay. Thank you very much for that beautiful discussion, Afande Muteera Asiimwe. We really appreciate you, and also we appreciate the entire Uganda Police Force, and you will send our regards to them. Otherwise, it has been a very wonderful morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to Church of Uganda Family TV, but specifically for Issues at Hand. We still have a program lineup that you ought not to miss. My name is Carol. See you next week. Bye.
Issues at Hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.